Okay, this is just, well, this broke out about 9 hours ago. Roxanne leaves celebrity Big Brother house after punch, in commas. To this woman here, as you can see, this hag, this smug hag, the actress made her name playing Joe Scogden in ITV soap Emmerdale. So let's read through this because what is very, very interesting. So this particular woman, sorry, that's my ring doorbell. This particular woman has left the Big Brother house, Channel 5 has said, following an episode in which she was punched by housemate Ryan Thomas. Now, Ryan Thomas, it used to be in Coronation Street for quite a few years, actually, and he's now he's left. I don't know if he's gone back, but he's left anyway. The former Emmerdale actor's exit comes after media watchdog Ofcom received thousands of complaints. Many are understood to focus on her reaction. So obviously people are not happy. I mean, I've seen this, and I can understand. I get why people are pissed, because this is an example of the behaviour of women in this society today. And let's continue. She's 35-year-old. Said the former Coronation Street actor hurt her. Okay. But Thomas said there was no malice in what happened, with some viewers arguing it was mainly play fighting. Now, was this incident set up to cause controversy, so to get viewership, to get more viewers to watch Big Brother? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was, but someone uploaded the video to YouTube, so I don't know. Let's click on it. See if we can get there. Ryan, here we go. I don't know if you can see it. So as you can see, he's going up to her, and he's just little play pump, pump. There's not even a baby would laugh at that. And then there he goes. It tap. It's like little taps. And maybe that last punch might have been something, but nothing really, really heavy. You know, he's just messing about, little taps here and there. Right, so let me just cancel that, and let's go back. So, you know, this kind of thing is very, very scary for men. We're in a society now where if you don't have video, okay, you don't have evidence, okay, you are going to be in big trouble. Seriously, big trouble. There was I saw on YouTube, there's a woman called Karen Strachan, I think she's a great campaigner for men's rights and men's mental issues and health and stuff like that. And she knows the way in which women can be very manipulative and their behaviour. And she was telling a story with a group of people. There was a men there and a few women there, and a few guys and whatever. And she was telling a story. At that particular one, there was a lesbian feminist girl think she was about 18 to 20, something like that. And Strachan had to tear a piece of her about issues about men's health. She's like, Strachan asked her, are you not bothered about men's mental health? Are you not bothered about the high, extremely high suicide rate amongst men? And the girl's, oh, I'm concerned about it, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it seems to me, if groups of men start to gather now, feminists come out in their numbers to shut them down. Men, especially white men, seem to have no right whatsoever to have any meetings. Because if they're gathering meetings, they must be, I suppose, I don't know, similar to Ku Klux Klan or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, to carry on, this Strachan told the story of a. Oh no, she didn't. A guy in the audience stood up and said, I want to tell you a story of my son. Our son was about 7, and a girl of about 8 years of age, 9 years of age. They were in the playground as usual. For no reason whatsoever, this girl went up to her son and slapped him in the face. The boy was stunned and said, what did you do that for? And her answer was, I could do that because I'm a girl, and there's absolutely nothing that you could do about it. So this is the same situation where this woman's trying to behave in such a way as to feel that, she's a woman. You can't play fight with a woman. You can't do something in this way. What you're doing, you're disrespecting her as a woman. And she's come out with that he's punched her so hard that it hurts. Yeah, the last punch that I think that he did in the back may have been a little bit, not hugely hard. It was I don't know how it's a little bit of a tap, but it wasn't something that would, break your ribs or, real leave a massive mark. But there was a little bit of force there. But so what? It's sort of a tapper punch, and you hear of these little incidents all the time. For instance, for many years, I always thought that domestic violence was always committed by men on women. Always. There was never a time a woman ever committed domestic violence to her husband. But in the recent years now, I was driving along in my car and I was listening to LBC, and a court judgment came out that if men could now be put into prison if they psychologically abuse their wives. Not physically, psychologically, either by putting them down, shouting at them, and if the woman deems that she's been bullied verbally, not physically but verbally, he could now go to prison. So a lot of people then said, hold on a minute, and a few guys have now started coming forward. What happens if it's the other way around? The term nagging is what comes from some women who nag their husbands and abuse their husbands. I mean, you've seen it, people have seen it so many times, but that's not even classed as psychological bullying. Because the reason why that is the case is that men should be extremely grateful that women are willing to be with them or want to be with them. It's a privilege for a man to have a relationship with a woman. It's not a privilege for a woman. It is not. Under any circumstances, it's not a privilege. Men should be always grateful to women. They're putting themselves out and allowing their men to have a relationship with them. That's what this is about. So when Thomas play fight. He violated her space, and he supposedly punched her, which was, a baby wouldn't have even flinched at that. A baby would have laughed. She's worse. I don't know. She can't even class her as a baby. It's a disgrace to put her in the same class as a baby. This is it was like a tap punch. But this is not. This is about a power play. This is about putting this guy in his place. And she's an important actress. She's someone who's very important. And you don't do this something like that. So she's a woman of class, ha! Supposedly. So let's continue. After the incident, is it Pallet? Let's call it Pallet. Complained to the show's producers about Thompson's behaviour, and he was issued with a formal warning for physical contact by Big Brother bosses. That's life today. I mean, he did contact with her. He made contact with her, and so you cannot make contact with anybody, especially underline that, especially women. Sometimes I don't really like shaking women's hands, because I don't want to have contact with somebody, because especially when women shake hands, it's not in the same way as guys do. When guys shake, they shake hands. Yeah, it's physical. It's a real shake of hands. When women, the way that they put their hand out is such, it's sort of as if they're like a diving motion. The hand goes down in that way, so the fingers are pointing to the ground when they present their hand to you, and it's done in a slow manner, and so you sort of, it's like gripping a little sort of girl's hand. When you're shaking a hello, and then with guys it's a young man, so you shake their hand, and that's a proper handshake. A woman's hand shake is very much, it always seems to be pointing down to sort of deflect the speed at which some men are going to shake your hand. I mean, I've had the guy shake my hand. I'm a big guy, and it's been a real shake, and you then respond with your own shake. You grip the hand and you shake back. Yes, all right, mate. And those are two geezers shaking hands. But extraordinary. I mean, is this a setup just to get more viewers to the Celebrity Big Brother? I don't know, but this is the way in which people behave today. You can't have any physical contact with people. A Celebrity Big Brother spokesman told the BBC, Roxanne has decided to leave the Big Brother house. The remaining housewives have been informed. Good riddance. I mean, if I had been Ryan, I would have just said, listen, mate, I've done nothing wrong, but obviously you see I've done something wrong. I'm going to go and pick up and just leave. Ofcom has said it is assessing the complaints, which total 11,000 on Friday, before deciding whether or not to investigate. During Thursday, I mean, if they're going to investigate, they need to investigate her behaviour. And it was play fighting, or basically play fighting. There was no malice in it. He was he thought he was having a laugh with somebody, and obviously, if she's going to take it that way, that she's been assaulted by him, I think the public, it sounds like the general public will have very, very little sympathy for her. I think there'll be outrage and outcry, and I think she'll need to bury her head. She'll need to bury herself and hide away somewhere, because she's miscalculated this badly. So I hope this is something that is you know, a fix-up by Big Brother, and not real from her point of view. Because if it's real from her point of view, she's got a massive problem. She's got a real massive problem. During Thursday's show, Thomas was seen approaching Pallet in the kitchen before appearing to use his fist to make contact with her body. He said, "Ouch, that hurt. I was going to wash your clothes, but I might shrink them now." So obviously, when she said that, she was massively hurt. Something like that, a lady would have maybe said in the 70s, and that would have been brushed off. It would have been brushed off. But today, it just seems people are just made up of really weak sort of substance. After returning to the bedroom, Pallet added, here we go, just been beaten up by Corrie's Jason Grimshaw, Big Brother, that hurt. She then entered the house's diary room and demanded to speak to producers. "Something that's just happened made me feel very uncomfortable," she said. "I'm in shock. I went from upset to angry. A boy has punched me repeatedly, unprovoked, and deliberately punched me like a boxer punches a bag." You know, you see from the video, she's talking a load of shit. Let's see it again, because I don't think we saw it properly before. Let's go through it. Here we go. So they've slowed it down, and you can see he's going in to go and have a chit chat or have a bit of a play, or he thought he was going to have a bit of a play. So he sort of tapped her on the shoulder. Boof, there he goes. Little tap, another little tap. Here goes, another little tap, another little tap, and then boof, a little bit of a tap there, yeah. But it's not something that's forced to throw forward at all. Here we go. Let me just close this down. Oh, and I mean, she's clearly a child, a big baby, you know, and all the nonsense that goes with it. And later, Big Brother bosses called Thomas to the diary room, where they pointed out that while almost play fighting, he punched Ryan in the ribs. So yeah, I suppose, okay, from the back. I thought, what, aren't the ribs at the front? I suppose, yeah, they do at the back. Okay. He was reminded of the show's rules and given a formal warning. "We both know, and Ryan knows, there was no malice, hurt, or anger in anything I did during this time. I am sorry, and I understand," said Thomas said. But I'm so glad that she's left. Silly bitch. Because what she tried to do, she embarrassed herself. Everybody sees she's embarrassed herself, and I think she realised she's embarrassed, and I better go, and she's off because she overdid it, you know, and there wasn't any real harm done. But this is, guys, be careful. in this society, when people say to you, men and women are equal, no, no. As I was saying before about the domestic violence, I hadn't finished. Sorry. I heard, I think it was last year or a year before, that in Australia, 39% of domestic violence is committed from women to men. I thought it was going to be something like, if that, maybe 1%. When I heard it was 39%, plus what those guys who were not reporting it, those guys who are not coming forward, could be closer maybe to 45% because of men's embarrassment of not coming forward. Oh, I got beaten up by my girlfriend. I'm 6'1" and she's 5' nothing. But she could be a woman who goes to classes of learning how to fight, and been doing it for 2 or 3 years. She knows how to put down a guy 6 foot, not just kicking him in the nuts, but actually take her down, an average geezer, to the floor, because she's learned how to do it. Go at the knee, go at the leg with the foot. Go at a weak point. Put if he goes to grab you, you use your weight, you throw the guy to the ground, using his weight rather than your weight, and all this kind of business. It's all about balance. And but you're taught that. There are guys out there who know how to fight, who are naturally strong and can fight most people and fight most guys. But if they came up against someone who is trained, because they are not naturally strong, but goes to classes to learn how to fight, because they can't fight. They've never been in a fight, or even, just don't know how to fight. A lot of people get into fights, learn how to fight without going to lessons. They learn to fight someone else and other people, and they use their skill that they gained from fighting. Then other people have to go lessons to learn how to fight, because they don't know how to fight. And then when they learn how to fight, they tend to use that, and get all big and bossy, as if they're big people. And so remember, there are incidents where now women are going to boxing classes, they're going to judo classes, they're going to women's self-defense classes, etc., etc., etc. So this sort of adage that women now are the so-called weaker sex is really out the window, on a lot of levels. Many of the female athletes you see in the road, on TV, without do millions of average men. It's just that the elite men would beat them. But on an average man out on the street, a guy who's cycling, normal, just cycling on an average cyclist, you see a female cyclist, does the road, like Tour de France and all that, sweeps by him in no times at all. A woman, who trains in running, an average guy, she would, beat by, 3 or 4 seconds or whatever, or 10 lengths or whatever it is, and so on and so on. So, this women are the weaker sex. It's not really feasible anymore. It was a point in some ways when that was applicable, because back in the day, men defended women, and so women's job were to bear the children and to look after the home and do reasonably menial jobs in the house. So they didn't need to build up strength. It wasn't required to build up strength. Whereas, I heard of a story of a guy in Roman times would work 14 hours a day building a wall. And it was literally from when they get to the premises, they start work. It's non-stop, and they wouldn't stop until they have something to eat, lunch or whatever. Stop. So they would work for that period of time virtually consistently, stopping for a little bit of water and then carrying on. and then they would stop and then have lunch and then carry on back again. And they would do literally 14 hours of building a wall, consistently. So, as I said, men, be very careful. You've got to be careful today. This guy Thomas, yeah, okay. It just goes to show you cannot approach women to play games with. You can't. I recently went on a course, and there were two women on that course, and I was wearing my hat. I was wary of these women, and I made sure I kept my distance. I made sure I didn't chit chat. But one of the women wanted to strike up a conversation because the hat that I was wearing was something that her husband had, something very similar, not quite the same, but she knew the brand. It was the same brand, but mine was slightly different to what he was wearing. And I sort of jokingly, oh, yeah, right, okay, brilliant. And then that was the end of conversation. And there was no longer a feeling of, oh, I'll probably, stop that conversation too quickly. No, I've moved on. I'm not interested in whether she feels embarrassed. I don't care. I ended that conversation. The next day, she came in. Oh, hello, you've got a different hat on today. I said, yeah, that's right. And then just carried on my business. When it comes to women now, I have very little conversation with. Those are the facts. It's a shame. There was a day when you would talk to women. I would talk to a lady in the street, chit chat. The young girl you speak to at a bus stop. That's all stopped. No, don't do any of that kind of business. So be very, very wary, gentlemen. And this is not a joke. It's a fact. Be very, very wary. Someone's going to say, "Oh, this is just one mate." The point is, these are two young people. He thought, "Oh, this is another youngish person. We can have a bit of a laugh and joke." And he made the mistake in coming across a bit of a lunatic. I mean, just look at her. She just feels that she feels that she's gorgeous. With all the makeup she's got on. She feels that she's someone of, I don't know what she feels, who she is, but it's a real shame. This young lad, handsome young lad, done nothing wrong really. But there you go. That's it. So I just thought I needed to put my take on it. Anybody disagrees? Well, put it in the comments. I might look at it later on. Anyway, thanks for listening.